sales celebration, and I'm walking around and I'm like, this cannot be it. Like, I honestly was like, everybody's like, man, you just did something never been done. Like, so many people were feeling like I did something so big, but in my point of view, looking at what was happening, not taking anything away from the hard work of everyone that bust their tail every single day to do what I did for years. But in my world, I was just like, this is not it. I didn't know what was after it, but I just felt there has to be more than what got me to this point. And about a few days later, April 7th, I was in Virginia, back in my Virginia home, driving from Virginia Beach, and I had the idea of a book. So I came home, I wrote the title, I started writing it, and within 6 months, I had a book already written. But what took place that had me retire October 13th, 2013, was I was hired to speak within those few months. And and I started doing a lot more training in the New York site. And I fell in love with the process of helping people gain from my lessons and mistakes. So I'm not going to say it was an instant one-day situation that led me to decide to retire, but there were several things. And I will say the ripple effect started with the light bulb of this has got to be it. Then deciding I wanted to write a book, and then it just flowing out of me, and then someone hiring me, and with the mixture of me wanting to speak, I was like, wow, I got to a point, because I'm a full-fledged person. I don't like to half do anything. Mm-hmm. And it was just to a space where I was not going to feel comfortably trying to pursue this author world and then give my sales world half of me. So I said, you know what? I'm willing to take this next leap into the unknown. And now, 4 books in, you know what I mean? Yeah. An online training program, thousands of clients all over the world. It was one of the best things that could have ever happened. And it also speaks to fear. And it was so character building, because who leaves a $1 million a year job to pursue the unknown of selling books? You know what I mean? When you're not even known. Who does that? Right. And I can say that from a spiritual level, once I'm so honored that I went through the emotional intelligence work to just know that once you put the work in, everything you want will come. And of course, I was in a financial position where money wasn't an issue, but still, like I tell a few people that would say, family or friends, say it was easy for you 7-figure, but no, actually, when you are able to easily make $1 million a year, it takes something more than just a lot of money in your savings to leave that. It still takes something within you that most people will never, ever get, because they are institutionalized by chasing versus working on their emotional intelligence and eliminating that fear emotion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good thing to bring up. So let's talk about your books then. So you, so when you're coming up with the idea of these books, what is your writing process like, and why? What made you want to do each of these books at that time, and then in this order?
Well, the universal talk laws I just spoke about, that was my sales process that led me to win these awards, that put me in the history book. So that's a communication manual, which I believe the history I just expressed will talk about that. Yeah. The Re-Creationism, which was the second book that was released in August of 2018, that was inspired because I was hired in so many events within the first 2 years of my new world. And there were so many times where I felt that universal talk laws, which was really, it touched on health, it touched on me stopping drinking, it touched on some things, but it really did not dive into the lifestyle that I started in 2009, which led to this this beautiful adventure that I'm on right now. So literally I started going through some of my journals, because I've been a journaler for now going on a decade. And I noticed that, wow, there have been 4 parts of my life that I've worked on every day that I mentioned. And I literally came up with a thought process of, I've been recreated. And I started researching titles because I figured I was going to produce a life mastery manual. And the name Re-Creationism came into my world. And so I had my logo person create a beautiful logo. And now Re-Creationism, The Art of Shaping Reality, that was my second book, which is 365 pages. It has 4 sections. And I've been told by so many people, it's like their version of a non-religious Bible, because it has not only my world, but it has 21 of my most transformative clients. It has little excerpts of where they were before I met them and what we did to help them out. And I'm talking from abused women to a man that was on his deathbed from smoking, to a promiscuous young lady that was a virgin, lost her virginity when she was 22, and then went on a spree until she's like, I got to stop this. So it's like, and the key though is with all of them, we were able to figure out what their weakest pillar was and how focusing on their weakest pillar could help their life. And what led to the third book was I've done so much work with high schools and schools of elementary, middle, and I'm going to say that caused this blessing of Little Solar's Book of Superpowers, because after the first day I finished Re-Creationism, I'm in Barnes and Nobles, and I'm like, wow, do I start on one of my other titles, or do I start on a kid's book or an adult novel? And literally at this time, I'm gonna be honest, I never read a children's book. So I said, let me Google what are the top books of all times. And of course, Harry Potter were like the top 5. But what came across the list was Charlotte's Web. So when I literally walked over to the children's section at the Court Street Barnes and Nobles in New York, went through and I started reading Charlotte's Web and finished it within like a day and a half. And I honestly, no offense to the gentleman that read it, I was like, I could do better than this. And so I had a dream that night. I had a dream that night about Little Solar. And now I have like 5 schools have already bought it for all of their students. And it's doing so well. And it just released March of this year. So bookofsuperpowers.com is the website. But I turned the solar system into a character that within a night is going to send a shooting star to each continent to meet one of the children under 13 that has at least 6 of its 7 superpowers. And the plot that starts the book off is it's writing in its journal talking about how blessed it is to use language that the humans have created, and the titles of the solar system, the galaxies, the planets. But everything in my universe is growing except on the planet Earth. And I think it's because over the thousands of years of me watching the humans, it seems like once they get into their teenage years, they start knowing it all and start going against each other. So I'm gonna do this plan where I'm gonna find a kid in each continent and try my best to help them show how you could be a real superhero on Earth with the superpowers. So it's a journey, but it's teaching some very spiritual lessons that I wish I learned when I was 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. So those are the 3 purposes behind the 3 books that are out helping the world right now, sir.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. In 2016, you started your interactive training course, Dixon On Demand. What made you want to do that, and how has it evolved into your theatrical experience, the recreation encounter?
Wow, it's amazing, man. But I'm gonna tell you, as you heard, it wasn't too much more than 6 to 7 months of planning before I retired from my career. Mm-hmm. So I had no idea what I was going to step into, but I really approached it really gung-ho the first year. So I was taking consultations. Like I literally did at least 150 personal counseling sessions. And literally by the end of the year, I was like, no, this is not what I signed up for. So I was like, no, man, I'm taking on all these people's live stories. I don't have no time to really create the way I intended to. Mm-hmm. So I was like, man, I have to figure something out. And it just happened to be that I don't remember exactly how it happened, but Tony Robbins, he has an online training platform that was created and hosted by Lightspeed VT. Mm-hmm. Cardone has one. Les Brown worked with them. So literally, I don't remember exactly how I linked up with them. I think it was from a gentleman called Randy Gage. Randy Gage. I went to a training program by Randy Gage. He mentioned Lightspeed VT. He said, man, you are definitely someone that has the content to do it. And I called them up, and we had I flew out to Vegas and invested and created a year program, DixonOnDemand.com, that takes people through an interactive process of not only communication, but life mastery and it's just unbelievable. So that's how that started. Okay. I literally got tired of doing the personal consultations and was like, I don't want to not give value. So who are the best people giving the highest value in that space? And I mean, I think you may have heard of Tony Robbins. I think you probably heard of Greg Cardone. So literally, I went to the best people in the business and created my own online training program called DixonOnDemand.com. And so that answers that question. Now, what took place with the one-man show that I'm about to start touring with again next year is I was looking at a movie called No Escape after I came back from my month training in China. I did a month training with Shifu Deng Fang, a 34th generational disciple of the Shaolin Temple in China. And I came back and I was in a movie theater looking at No Escape, and I was thinking in my mind, how am I going to create? I think Dixon On Demand Dixon On Demand wasn't even released yet. It was just in the beginning stages. I didn't even think about Re-Creationism at the time, the second book. And I was like, how can I appeal to the masses, the 90%? Because I'm helping the 10% now. There's a certain type of person that wants to read, wants to dig into themselves, want to, kind of eradicate all the plaque that was given to them from generational baggage. It's only 10% of our population that's really excited about doing that. And so I'm like, how can I allow my personal development platform to help out the masses? Mm-hmm. And right at that point, as I'm thinking about this, the advertisements stop and the thrillers in the beginning of the movie come on, and it gets quiet in the movie theater. And right when I'm having this thought, I turn around and everybody stops talking and they got their popcorn and they're just in the zone. And I was like, wow, theater, TV. I was like, what is ruling our world right now is an entertainment medium that eliminates people from thinking about themselves. Right. So I was like, wow. What if I was able to create a personal development platform or show that allows people to be entertained but learn at the same time? Man, that thought right there is what led to me creating a one-man theatrical show called The Re-Creation Encounter, where I turned myself into 4 characters. Did a show in Virginia, did a show in New York. Right after I did the show in New York, I started getting hired by so many schools that I decided to hold off on that. And because it's such a powerful situation, and I was only in the 3rd year, I was like, I'm gonna come back to that in a little bit, but I need to approach some of the other things that are a higher priority. So that's what led to Re-Creation Encounter, the theatrical performance.
Okay.
Wow. These questions I haven't had in quite some time. But what I love is that the way this journey is going, it literally, there are days and moments that led to each of them that I guess because I don't drink, I don't smoke, I got a good memory, man. So I'm glad I'm in a great space, man. No offense to the smokers or drinkers.
No, that's quite all right. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is good. Okay, so that's what so where do you see your journey on this evolving to? So what